So I was 28 years old. I had a small child, just a year old. I had just moved to a new town and I had just gotten out of the psych ward because during that period I was in a domestic abuse relationship and went to the psych ward, got diagnosed with bipolar. And remember, at that time, I also didn't understand I was in a domestic abuse relationship. So I had this bipolar diagnosis, which just trying to work through that. And I had no friends. I was very lonely and it was really hard. And the cool thing is I met my longest term or longest time friendship during that time. And it started with just being able to talk to her and tell her what I was going through and what I was feeling and not being judged for my bipolar diagnosis. And for her dad had mental health issues and she was very loving and kind. And that was just amazing to have that friendship. So today we're going to talk about friendship, the beauty of friendship, why we want to even pursue friendship. There's been a great long-term study, I think it was over 20 years with Harvard study of adult development. And basically the biggest predictor of health and happiness had to do with close relationships, friendship, family ties, social support. And that was the best predictor of life satisfaction, health, and longevity. The truth is we were made for connection. And connection is hard and can be tricky at times. I think COVID really showed us that really, being lonely is not good for us. And not being connected was very challenging for us. And a lot of young people kind of lost the skill or didn't develop the skill of maintaining and working on friendships. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. One thing I've heard of a lot is, why don't people prioritize friendship is because they've had a betrayal. And oh boy, I could talk about this all day long. I cannot tell you how many really close friends have betrayed me. And it's hard. It's really sucky. In college, I had a best friend for a couple years and her boyfriend she met in high school and my boyfriend I met in high school and we double dated all the time and we were just doing everything together. Well, I had decided that I couldn't marry this person and so I broke things off. And anyways, since I had broke things off because we were also roommates till she moved out, everything I was telling her, she was going behind my back and telling my ex-boyfriend. And I didn't even know about it. But after she moved out and we went home for summer, she never returned my calls or anything. And finally, my ex-boyfriend's brother, he said, Angie hates you. She wants nothing to do with you. And I did not even know. I felt so devastated and so hurt. And then to find out what she was doing behind my back, so painful. So anytime I would see kind of the things that we would do together or our little goofy things, I would just feel pain in my heart. It was super sad. The cool thing is after about 4 years, she actually wrote me a letter and apologized. But, I give her kudos for that. But that was not a relationship that was going to repair. And it was very painful. So I can definitely relate to being betrayed. And all of us have had that. I don't know anybody that has not been betrayed by a close girlfriend. And that is unfortunately part of this human experience that we're in. So sometimes there's loss, sometimes there's shifts, sometimes there's betrayal, and we've had them all. And I highly encourage us all to pursue friendship because the amount of soothing, the amount of beauty that comes from it, we all desire to be seen, known, and loved. And we cannot do that if we're not having friendships and those intimate relationships. And really, how do we start making friends or closer friends? Well, first, we have to be a friend to ourselves. And even before that, I'm going to back up. And I believe that having a connection with God or source and knowing that we are loved and lovable and enough is a really helpful basis for friendship. And then being a friend to ourselves, having that love, that respect, that connection with ourselves is super vital because it's very difficult to have a friendship if we don't even know ourselves or if we don't like ourselves. And I think that really adds value to the friendships. And then literally just getting to know people and choosing people that we like, we're interested, we can be curious about them and getting to know them. and coming at it. I always like to come at it from, we definitely have need, and I really like to come at it from contribution and from like curiosity and love. And that really helps. And I really appreciate that. So how do we even make friends? There's books on this now for adult friendships, creating adult friendships, because it is such a skill that is lacking and such a priority that has gotten low. And then there's consequences to that. You go through a hard time and you don't have anyone, and it's even more lonely. And that is why friendships are so valuable, is we need each other. So how do we develop friendships? First, number one, I'm going to talk about 6 things. Number one is it takes intention. And that may seem obvious, but unless we prioritize it, unless we decide, hey, I actually think this is an area I need to grow in and I'm going to be intentional, it is not going to happen. So I just want to tell you, it takes intention. And it's not, some people get their friendships from the neighbors, the kids, if they have kids and someone else has kids, there's the parents of the kids or coworkers. And those are all fine. And those are great and convenient. And they're not going to be our deepest friendships unless they move beyond that. They're the easy friendships. And those are the ones that last unless we move beyond that. That could be where we meet somebody, but it has to be developed. So intention, we need to intentionally want to create deeper, better friendships. Number 2, it really helps to have some shared values or interests and create some memories. And that makes a big difference. If you are you can also be pretty opposite. Like, I really enjoy differences in people as long as we can be loving and respectful to each other's differences. And I think that's really valuable. I think about one of my closest friends, and I felt like we were very different as far as a number of our views. And actually, I enjoyed it, and she enjoyed a different perspective too. But you have to be on the same page as far as that. Are you feeling stuck in with love, wealth, or peace? Well, you're not alone. Often it's a subconscious belief holding you back. That's why I combined life coaching and hypnotherapy together, so you can break through what's been keeping you stuck. Life coaching helps you shift your mindset, while hypnotherapy works deep within to reprogram limiting beliefs and memories. It's fast, it's effective, typically 1 session of each, and I have a few openings left. Are you ready for a change? Visit livebrighter.info and book your free consultation and see if this approach is right for you. See you then. And really, when we're sharing values, we're also like, what is the point of friendship? And I really think it's to encourage, to witness, to be there for, and to have them be there for us too. It's not to fix. I know, like, it's so easy if you're coming from a personality like mine, which used to be high functioning codependent and still is a little bit on the people pleasing end and working through that, which is not a bad thing. And it's something to be watched. So with that personality type, we can desire to fix people. We don't even mean to do it, but that means we're giving advice. And sometimes the best thing to do is just to hold space. And one of the reasons why I give advice sometimes, I have to watch myself, is I'm really uncomfortable with the feelings. I'm empathetic, I'm feeling their feelings, and it's just uncomfortable for me because I'm having such empathy and I want to fix it. And that is not helpful. So just holding space and just allowing them to feel, and holding space for them to be like witnessed and seen. Because honestly, I respect them enough to figure out their own problems. They can ask me for advice, and that's no problem. But I have to watch myself because I know I can err on that side. So more working to hold space for someone. You really want to find friendships that are equal, in the sense of, gosh, I don't know what it was about me, or I could probably tell you, is I always had friendships where I gave more. And in one sense, we're always going to give a little bit more, but these were a much bigger difference. And I think that is more a ministry, and that is different than friendship. I really do think close friendships should be equitable. Like, we're both giving and receiving. And so it's really important, because I know some people, they have ministries, but they don't have friendships, like equal friendships. So I would really encourage some equality there and respect. So again, number 1 is intention. Number 2, shared values. Number 3, vulnerability. And that's kind of the Me Too thing, in the sense that if you're never vulnerable, if you're always putting on a face, that is not a good way to connect with people. So vulnerability, we have to know what we're feeling, and that can be a challenge in and of itself sometimes, is understanding our own emotions and our own feelings and being able to share. Because once you share, and when the other person says me too or holds space, that is where connection happens. So if nobody's being vulnerable, you're not going to have a level of depth. And then there's the people that overshare when you have to be kind of equitable in your sharing. Like you can't just barf on the other person or emotionally share and not have having that going back and forth. So it's like a dance. So definitely dance together and not chase the person down. So we definitely get to dance. So vulnerability and making space for each other. Number 4 is it takes time. And I think the biggest part of time is creating trust. And sometimes that can happen soon, quicker, sometimes slower. But I really, especially if this is a romantic relationship, I think especially if they're on the narcissistic end, they definitely want to get you to be vulnerable and get you attached very quickly. And I just think time is important because time really tells the truth. And it also takes time to trust. You want to see people in different circumstances to really see who they are, because really our actions speak louder than our words. And so that takes some time. So that's number 4, time. Number 5 is the ability to repair. And that means being honest about thoughts and feelings, or if the person hurts you or when you hurt that person, because guess what? Intimate relationships, you're going to hurt them. They're going to hurt you. So how do you have this skill set? Do I have this skill set to say, hey, that just didn't land well with me and I wanted to talk about it because I really care about our friendship and I'm hurt by that. And I just want to explain, talk about it. So it really makes a difference, because if we don't repair, then we will distance. And so if something bothers us more than 2 days and we care about that friendship, just being honest with, hey, this is, I want to talk to you about something. This is how I took that, and this is how I felt about that, and work through that. Because honestly, without repair and without being honest, you can only go so far. And I think that's a really key part of a very good friendship. So, and then number 6, hold it with love and an open palm. I can think of when I was younger, just holding tightly and just didn't want it to change at all, and all of that. And I think a lot of that was, again, the first 2 relationships before we can really have healthy friendships is having that healthy relationship with God or source, and then ourselves. And those areas were lacking for me. And so I tended to hold friendships too tightly. And so just holding them with love, with an open palm, so that it can shift and change and flow. And then it kind of goes through the cycle again, the intention, the shared values, the vulnerability, the time and the trust, the repair, the honesty. And it just keeps working through that cycle. It makes a beautiful dance. And the most rewarding things that we can do for ourselves and others is to learn the skill of making friendships and keeping friendships. It is such a valuable skill and worth it to all of us. So again, the 6 steps is be intentional. Number 2, look for people with shared values, interests, and memories, and look for someone with, that you're going to have equality with and that you can encourage and witness. Number 3, vulnerability, the me too, and you have to be vulnerable. Number 4, time and trust. Number 5, repair and honesty. And number 6, just hold it with love and an open palm and let it flow. So I really, we always hear the term want a friend, be a friend. And I think that's really true. Being a friend is super important. And again, the best way to do that is embracing our love and our relationship with God or source, and giving love to ourselves, and then being able to share that with others. And then that just allows us to have these beautiful friendships. We all want to be seen, heard, and valued. And it's a beautiful thing to dance with that. I like C.S. Lewis's quote. He says, friendship is born at the moment that one person says to another, what? You too? I thought I was the only one. And it's so true because the things that happen to us are very common, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's being able to share that makes it so much lighter. One of my favorite verses in the Bible talks about how two are better than one because they can share the load, they can keep each other warm, all of those things. And that's the truth, is we can carry things and we can do things so much more, better, farther with community. So I always want to end with just a little action step. But first, let's just start with just a deep breath in, belly breath in, and breathe out slowly. Do it one more time. Having this pause is so important, and breathe out. And then just check in with yourself. Who in your life would you like to grow in friendship? Or, start a friendship? And then what is one action step you can do in this next week? And then just do it. I believe in you. Start closeness one action at a time. Make it a great day.
Stay tuned for our next episode.